Hey guys, today I want to go through a bunch of flat style flashlights that I own to help you to decide which might be best for you, because there's a ton of these lights out these days, and about maybe a couple of years ago they weren't even a thing, but people are starting to buy into these more, including myself. And initially it was something that I wasn't interested in just because there was no exchangeable battery. You have to deal with the battery in there. Once it croaks, that's it. There are some caveats as well in terms of performance. With less heat sinking material on here, a lot of these lights can't sustain turbo or higher modes for very long. But the portability and ease of use is really second to none. So yeah, these days I really prioritize portability. I used to carry around, believe it or not, 21700 cell lights in my pocket, but not anymore. I just want something that's easy to slip into your jeans pocket, and these are the perfect sort of lights for that. And they're getting pretty powerful as well. So look, there are a few lights here, and the reason I've picked these ones, apart from the fact that these are the majority of my flat style flashlight collection, is because they also represent themes of flat style flashlights. You've got smaller ones like this, and you've got also another smaller one, but still is pretty powerful, Nitecore. And Nitecore tend to do really powerful flat style flashlights. So they produce the most lumens out of all of these lights, but you're also lacking in other functionalities. So if you want some UV modes or other LEDs on the front of the light, tough luck there. RovyVon produce a lot of these kind of lights out of auxiliary LEDs on the side, and they're also quite powerful. So 3,500 lumens for both of these models, the E90 and the E30 Pro. So they're kind of like a go-between. Okay, Olight produce these kind of easy to use UIs. So you've got this kind of rotating dial, so you just switch to whatever mode essentially that you want. Very easy to use for a beginner, or maybe you're giving this away to someone as a present who's not really much of a flashlight person. You charge it magnetically as well, so you don't need to worry about any ports. So yeah, kind of like the more easy to use option. And cosmetically, a lot of people like the style of Olight as well, because they've just got really sleek designs, different colors. And yeah, one thing though is that you tend to have fewer options in terms of LEDs and customization, that kind of thing. So yeah, even power and overall performance, I find that a lot of these other lights to the left will outperform these flat style Olights. And this is the Arkfield Pro, but there is a new one out, the Arkfield Ultra, I believe. And yeah, even with the Arkfield Ultra, all of these RovyVon lights are able to outperform it in terms of overall output. Over here to the right, we've got the Wurkkos HD01 and the Tunenge YC8003. And these flat lights are more affordable than the other lights here to the left. So if you're on a budget, these are really good value. There's a whole bunch of these out there, but I've only tested these two. I'll be getting the Wurkkos HD01 Pro soon. But yeah, price to performance ratio, these are fantastic, especially the Wurkkos. Okay, but yeah, you're giving up as well sometimes on little things. It could just be the clip, for example. The clip may not be as sturdy. The battery as well. So I believe the HD01 has a 1200 milliamp hour cell in there, 1000 milliamp hour cell in the Tunenge. Comparing that to say the RovyVon E30 or the E90, these two have a 3000 milliamp hour cell. So that's 3 times the battery capacity of these two. So really something you have to keep in mind, but I still think that they're fantastic entry-level options. So what I'll do is that I'll go through each one of these individually and kind of at the same time compare it to the rest, what we have on the table. So the E90, this is one that I'm going to be reviewing soon, or by the time I release this video, the review should be out. And this is like a do-it-all flat style flashlight. I mean, you've got these auxiliary lights, you've got a high CRI, white LED, different modes. You've got a red LED, you've got a 365 nanometer UV LED. You've also got another 365 nanometer UV LED up the top there that has a lot more throw and power, 3 watts. SFT40 there paired with a smooth reflector. So it's got a really throwy sort of beam as well. Produces 1,800 lumens. And overall, if you look at the construction and the amount of features that you get with the E80, I think this is the most balanced light out of everything. I mean, it does everything very well, but yeah, it's going to cost you a bit more than, say, some of these lights here to the right, these budget style flashlights. And, you know, there's something you're going to have to deal with if you want extra quality, extra features. Of course, you get that 3,000 milliamp hour battery in there as well. So yeah, I'd recommend this one if you're just looking for something that does it all, an EDC light that does everything. You know, I like the fact that you have that tactical momentary button there as well. You've got some other lower modes that you can cycle in between. Oh, double-sided clip, so you can clip that on your hat into your pocket as well, and then use these side LEDs. Yeah, you really can't go wrong, and it's, you know, IP68 water resistant as well. The RovyVon E90 is quite similar in terms of appearance. There are some differences though. If you look on the front, there's 2 SST40 LEDs in there with the TIR lenses, and there's also a proximity sensor which you can deactivate. So yeah, this is kind of like the one on steroids compared to the E90, the E80. Okay, so while you are missing some of those other features like the UV LED in there, this one is just kind of prioritizing high output, 3,500 lumens. It's got a proper tactical mode there. So half press this lower switch, it brings you to turbo, 3,500 lumens. Full press the strobe, very easy. That button always leads to those 2 modes. So in an emergency situation, that's, yeah, you're really going to need that. Personally, because I'm into tactical lights myself, I'd probably pick this one over the E80. But at the same time, yeah, sometimes I just can't decide because you've just got, I mean, it's just so well balanced in the E80, and you've got that high CRI LED in there as well, which you don't get with the E90. The white LED is, yeah, it's a low CRI LED. You still have the red LED in there. There's a few other modes, by the way. So you've got high, low, and a couple of flashy modes in there. It's the same as the E80. Yeah, that first mode there is just low, high, but there's low, medium, high on the E80, and of course the 365 nanometer LED. And I like that RovyVon are using 365 nanometer LEDs because they cost a bit more, but they just produce a much more vibrant, you know, fluorescing effect compared to 395 nanometer LEDs, which are cheaper and produce too much visible light, in my opinion. So yeah, the switches are also a little bit nicer, I think, on the E90. And if you compare them, you can see there's just this extra coating. They call it PVD coating on the switches. Yeah, just these RovyVon lights, I'm always so impressed with their overall construction. Just how much thought that they put into these lights. Even the switch is recessed here on the side, so if it's in your pocket, you're not gonna accidentally press it. And this was one of my first flat style flashlights, actually. It's the RovyVon E30 Pro. And really, I think it's quite similar to the E90, but the E90 is almost like an upgraded version. Okay, so everything I mentioned so far is pretty much the same on the E30, besides for the machining. The design of the machining is a little bit different. The clip as well. So the clip on the E90 is screwed onto the back. It's double-sided. Honestly, feels sturdier compared to the E30 Pro's clip, which is like a friction clip. It's a funny location here, but it does stay very firmly on. In fact, I've had trouble removing the thing. And there's little upgrades like the bezel, you know, stainless steel bezel. You'd be surprised how much of a difference this makes if you need to break something, maybe a bit of glass. You know, you're just going to scratch up. Yeah, you're really going to scratch this one up if you're not careful. It's also more recessed. As you can see there, the lens is more recessed. So, yeah, I also think the switches are nicer. As you can see on the E90 there. But, you know, they're both beautiful lights. I would personally get the E90 if I had to choose, just due to those upgrades alone. So, yeah, all of these have 3000 milliamp hour batteries in them as well. That pretty much beats everything else here on the other side in terms of battery capacity. All right, so moving on to these Nitecore lights, and I'll pick up the EDC29 first. These are just monsters in terms of output, and I would say the EDC29 it's got to be my favorite pocketable flat style tactical light out there. This one produces over 8,000 lumens, okay? And, you know, you've got this little sort of screen here as well that tells you what mode you're in. You can activate the mode prior to turning the light on, select the mode. But yeah, this switch here on the side, on the back, you know, you've got half press for like a spotting mode, 3000 lumen, and then you've got this 8,000 plus lumen mode. It even feels hot. I'm pointing that at my body from here about maybe 40 centimeters away, and I can feel the heat on my chest from this thing. So it is just a powerhouse, and yeah, one of my favorite sort of tactical EDC lights. It just is, yeah, the most powerful, but that's all it can do at the end of the day. I mean, you can select some of these lower modes, which are also fantastic. Okay, and surprisingly have decent throw even on the lower modes. But if you're looking for any auxiliary modes, UV, any other functionality, yeah, you're not going to find that here on this light. And I also like the finish. Nitecore are using that PVD finish, physical vapor deposition, to add a nice coating to the light. It's made of stainless steel as well compared to the other lights, which is an unusual material to use given that it doesn't have the best heat conducting properties. But you know what? They've made it work. They've made it work somehow. There's a internal heat sink, and these little vents help to dissipate heat as well. So somehow they've managed to make it work. And of course, stainless steel is more durable than most aluminium. So yeah, if you're looking for a flat style light that produces the highest amount of lumen output, the EDC29, you really can't go past that. The 23 is, you know, it's like the little brother of the EDC29. Very similar interface. There you've got half press for the turbo mode, okay, which is 2,500 lumens, and then you've got a strobe mode on there as well. 2,500 lumens is seriously impressive for a little light like this. I mean, it's about 3/4 the size of some of these RovyVon lights, and nearly producing, I mean, short 1,000 lumens, but pretty impressive. And yeah, I would say if you want just the highest lumen to size ratio in a flat style flashlight, the EDC23 is the one to go for. Everything about it is pretty similar in terms of the design and the UI, the clip, as the EDC29. Also, it would be important to mention, it has a 1,500 milliamp hour cell in there. So yeah, using it on those high modes, you're gonna run out of juice pretty soon. EDC29 has 2,500 milliamp hour cell in there, still pretty decent, you know. And if you use it on the lower modes, you should be okay. Same with the EDC29. I find this one's getting pretty popular out there just due to the size. You can chuck this one in your pocket, you can barely feel it. And these are also extremely throwy long range just due to the power of those LEDs, and their kind of round die surface as well is optimal for long range performance. So moving on to the Olight Arkfield Pro, you've got a few different modes. You've got UV. You just slide this sort of, this little switch there to UV. Oops, shouldn't point that at myself. You've got the laser there, and you've also got a normal white light mode. Okay, pretty simple to use. Okay, there's nothing out of the ordinary that's going to confuse you. The design, in my opinion, looks fantastic. Simple, but kind of futuristic as well. And Olight's was one of those companies that you either like or you dislike. They're kind of like the Apple of flashlights, and kind of, like I was showing you before with this magnetic charging cable, just little creature comforts like that might appeal to some people more than others. But yeah, I found that this one is a really nice all-rounder EDC flashlight as well. It's smaller than pretty much all the others. Doesn't produce as much output though. And it does come with a 1,500 milliamp hour cell in there. So yeah, that does explain why it's a bit smaller than these others. So yeah, that's something that you have to keep in mind. The Wurkkos HD01, you've got a whole bunch of different functions in there. You've got these kind of auxiliary modes, auxiliary LEDs here on the side. You can change the color of them. You can also access just a normal flood mode there from the side. Here you've got a bunch of other normal flashlight modes, white modes, turbo. I think at the end of the day, it's a fantastic little EDC light for what you pay for this thing as well. It's fantastic. 1,200 milliamp hour cell. Lights like these have come a long way, especially with companies like Wurkkos and Sofern. If you compare the Wurkkos dollar for dollar with a lot of these other lights, you probably get the best value with it. So yeah, of course, you just don't get those other premium functions and higher output. So since the recording of the first part of this video, I had a couple of new lights arrive in the mail, the HD01 UV and the HD01 Pro. So I thought I would just splice in this part of the video instead of re-recording the entire thing over. And basically what I'll do is just show you a quick comparison between these three. I'm sure some of you would like to know the difference. Size-wise, the HD01 Pro is just a little bit longer, as you can see, like maybe 5 millimeters longer at the most. Other than that, it's pretty much the same. There is some minor changes to the machining on the HD01 Pro. Apart from that, that's pretty much it. But here are the big differences. So you can see to the left, the HD01, it's got the green laser, and it's also got the spot beam TIR lens, whereas with the HD01 UV, you've obviously got the UV LED in there, which is rated 365 nanometers. So definitely the one that you want to get. Same here, 365 nanometers. I find that there are those 395 nanometer UV lights, but they produce too much visible light, and I find them ineffective compared to these ones. So you can see there's orange peel reflectors inside these two lights as well. So the HD01 UV and the HD01 Pro. Now, what the HD01 Pro does is that it actually just combines all the features of these two. So you've got the laser plus the UV plus the white spot beam here. So the laser is right underneath the bezel there in that darkened spot. Okay, other than that, everything is pretty much the same. Even the battery is the same. It's a 1,200 milliamp hour battery in there. Would have hoped they put something that was a bit larger, but yeah, unfortunately, nothing like that. At the end of the day, you'll get similar performance, battery life out of all of these. But yeah, if you do need a laser and the UV all in one, HD01 Pro is the one to get. Otherwise, you'll probably want to just get one of these other ones to the left. And a similar story here with the Tunenge YC8003. So you can press to turn on and then switch in between different modes in there. bit of an odd UI considering that they've also got the flashy modes in the white mode, which I don't like. Got UV, 365 nanometer UV light as well, which is really useful if you need to identify bodily fluids, check IDs, verify documents, that kind of thing. And of course, there's also these side lights here. And I'm surprised that a lot of these other lights don't actually come with auxiliary lights on them. I think Nitecore could easily add some auxiliary lights on the side, or even RovyVon could add, you know, a whole bunch of smaller auxiliary lights on there. But yeah, I think RovyVon are focusing on the quality of the individual LEDs. So they're, you know, 365 nanometer LED in there. You've got high CRI LEDs in the E80, for example. So yeah, it's not necessarily, you know, focusing on the, you know, the most output you can get out of those auxiliary LEDs. But yeah, oh, this one also has an interesting kind of feature. I don't want to press it because it's annoying, but there's a, geez, yeah, a little whistle, electronic whistle on there that just does my head in. So yeah, that's another feature that you can have. Okay, it's off. So yeah, it's another feature you can sometimes find on some of these other sort of flat style flashlights. It's not common though. Finally, you've got the RovyVon E8 or similar, and this is a really small flat style flashlight. And this one here is just, if you're someone that doesn't want to carry around a larger light like this, and to me, these are small lights, but if you really want something that you can pocket, you can maybe put in your coin pocket or just put onto your bag or keychain, your car keys, that kind of thing, the E8 is really the perfect option in my opinion. And unique function is that it has this ability to add a primary cell. So this is just a AAA cell here. So once that lithium cell runs out or croaks in there, you're still going to be able to use this other battery in there, which is not the case with a lot of these other flat style flashlights. None of their batteries can be replaced on any of these other lights. So I think that's quite unique. You've also got these dual LEDs there on the head. You can sort of switch in between the different modes. Okay. And the side LEDs, that as well. Red. You've got that 365 nanometer UV LED. So yeah, ton of functionality for a little keychain light. I bring this one around with me all the time in my backpack. But yeah, I hope this video has helped you, I guess, decide either if you're getting any of these, or maybe you're deciding on what type of flat style flashlight to get. You know, like I said, there are themes of them, and if you want something that's more balanced, still bright, and has high battery capacity, these RovyVon lights are really second to none, quality-wise as well. Nitecore specialize in really high output flashlights, and they have this kind of tactical military style, so that's what you're going for. RovyVon also do these small keychain flashlights, high quality keychain flashlights, flat ones like that as well. If you're looking for something smaller, I definitely recommend that one. Olight, if you're looking for something simple and doesn't have any USB ports, you don't even need to read the instructions to figure out what this thing does. You know, you've got the 3 modes in there quite easily. But again, you're going to be paying a bit of a premium for a light like this. So if you don't mind reading the instructions a little bit and basically doing a bit of research, you know, some of these budget lights can be a fantastic option. Wurkkos HD01, I think, is probably the best value out of all of these lights. If, yeah, dollar for dollar. And you've also got this other one here, the Tunenge YC8003, sort of on that same theme of budget style flashlights, flat style flashlights. So if you have any questions, just let me know down below in the comments. I will get back to you. And yeah, because I'm sure I've missed out on something. I've blabbed along for this video for ages. And if you like the video, do me a favor, click the like button because it helps me to get out to more people. If you want to see more flashlight reviews, keep up to date with the latest news, make sure you subscribe. Okay, I'm going to be comparing a bunch of flat style EDC flashlights. Let's start off with the RovyVon E80. This is on the highest mode. Small, well, I wouldn't say smallish hotspot, but compared to some of the others, definitely a smaller hotspot, pretty intense hotspot with tons of spill. And after 10 seconds, you'll see a step down from the 1800 lumens. So it does manage to hold for a bit. There we go, there's the step down. Okay. Now I'm going to bring out the E90 here, and that's on 3,500 lumens. You've got the E80 and then the E90. So you can see the E90 hotspot's just a lot larger and way more light in general. Okay. Now I'm going to bring out the E30 Pro. So that's your E30 Pro, very similar to the E90. I can't tell the difference at all between the E90 and the E30 Pro. To me, they look virtually identical. That's the E30 again. Coming up next, I've got the Nitecore EDC23. And again, like really decent throw. In fact, I would say throwier than all those RovyVon lights. A little bit throwier. It does have a quick step down though, only a few seconds, as you can see. That's unfortunately a side effect of the stainless steel body and just the safety mechanism built in so that it doesn't overheat. Now I've got the EDC29, Nitecore EDC29 here, and look at that, holy cow, that is no joke. Nearly 8,500 plus lumens. Even after, the step down, that's just incredible. I almost can't believe this light's coming out the front of this torch. It's just insanity, really. And yeah, you can see that's the issue is that the step down is just so quick, and also because at the moment it is pretty hot in Melbourne, so perhaps it's stepping down a bit faster, but really you only get a few seconds before it does step down. But that is I'm just trying to activate both of the spot and flood at the same time. Actually, what I showed you before was just the spot mode, so the full mode will actually be a lot brighter at 8,500 lumens plus. So that's the full mode. Holy cow, look at that. Okay, so I'll just do that once more. I've got to wait for the bar to kind of recharge before it will let me do it again, all the way to the top. So this is just the spot beam alone, and then full. Holy cow, that's no joke. I mean, it's only for a second, as you can see, only for a few seconds, but that might be all you need in an emergency situation. Holy cow. And you can switch this into like a strobe mode as well, if you want. Okay, coming up next is my Wurkkos HD01. That's on the highest mode. Pretty respectable, 1,200 lumens, so it's still reaching the back. I can see what's happening back there, and you do get some decent runtime before it steps down. So that's something you don't see on the others because they have really high outputs. Okay, I'm going to swap over now to the HD01 UV, and that's the HD01 UV, and you know, very similar. There's no difference really with the specifications of the HD01 and HD01 UV with the spot beam, the HM LED, so I'm not expecting much here. Let's go over to the HD01 Pro, and I've got to step this one up slowly, and there you go. So it's eco, low, medium, high, or low, medium, high, turbo. So yeah, very similar performance to the HD01, the normal HD01s, as you can see. So yeah, it just comes down to the set of features you want in the HD01. Coming up next, I've got the Tunenge YC8003, and just cycling through the different modes here, and that's the highest mode. Okay, so definitely it's not as throwy as the HD01, but it does produce a decent amount of throw. Wide beam, very wide beam, but yeah, probably the dimmest out of all the ones we've seen so far, but still, you know, a decent amount of light. Unfortunately, you have to click through these sort of strobe and SOS modes, which is a bit annoying. Double press doesn't do anything as well, so there's no shortcuts. But you know, it's still pretty bright. Coming up next is the Olight Arkfield Pro, and just ramping this thing up to the highest point. That is the highest point here. So look, really large hotspot, but not too much throw. It's only just tinting the center of that field. But if you step it up to turbo, which I just did, I thought that was the highest point, but it wasn't. Forgot that triple press is actually turbo on this light for some reason. I mean, that's pretty impressive. Now I'm happy. Now I'm happy. And it still hasn't stepped down. This is pretty amazing. For some reason, double press leads to that strobe mode, so triple press for turbo. But yeah, you can use this high mode, and that, you know, you only need to go any higher than that. Even if I go to even just the medium mode like that, that's good enough. It's just a walking light. But yeah, good to see that there is a decent turbo mode on here, and it doesn't step down in, you know, a few seconds. Coming up next, I've got the RovyVon E8, the smallest of all of these lights and the dimmest, but still, look at that. Pretty impressive for a little keychain flashlight. It's, dare I say, it's actually throwier than the YC8003, the Tunenge. Quite impressive for a little pocket rocket like this, and it still hasn't stepped down. But I tell you what, you know, it does get hot using this on the turbo mode for a long period of time. So you can also just step it through the different modes like that.